All right, today we talked about solving equations with distribution. We did a review on distributive property, so make sure you've watched that video and completed the distributive property assignment first. One more quick review on distribution before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Remember, I'm multiplying everything inside the parentheses by the number on the outside. So this is negative 4 times 3x, which gives me negative 12x. And negative 4 times negative 5, which gives me a positive 20. The second example, I'm multiplying everything by 2. So I've got 2 times 13, which gives me 26. And 2 times 6x, which gives me a positive 12x. Now we're going to have to solve equations where there's distribution involved. We've already talked about the steps. First we did 1 and 2 step equations where we dealt with constants and coefficients, and they have to be done in that order. But we added another one, combining like terms, that has to be done before we do constants and coefficients. And today now we're adding a step that's the distributive property or distribution that has to be done before all of the following steps. Remember, they have to be done in this order or else you're going to end up with the wrong answer. So we've got to do distribution, we've got to do combining like terms, then take care of our constant, then in the very end, divide by our coefficient. So let's go back to the example we wrote down before. Remember, our first step is always going to be distribution whenever there's a set of parentheses. So we're going to multiply everything inside the parentheses by 2. So I'm going to have 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 4 is a positive 8. That only takes me to the end of my parentheses. I still have a plus 8 and an equals 24. That was our distribution. My next step was to combine like terms. Since the only like terms I have are my 2 8s, those are the constants that I'm going to be combining. So I have 2x. When I combine 8 plus 8, I get 16, and it's still equal to 24. And again, that's the step where we combine like terms. The next step is to take care of our constant. Our constant here is positive 16. So I do the opposite of that and subtract 16 from both sides. And I get 2x equals 8. The last step is to combine by our coefficient, or divide by our coefficient. So we're going to divide both sides by 2, and I get x is equal to 4. Don't forget to take this back and plug it in to make sure that you have the right answer. I'm going to take my original equation, but now wherever I used to have an x, now I'm going to put a 4. So x plus 4 plus 8 equals 24. 4 plus 4 inside the parentheses is 8, and when I multiply that by 2, I get 16 plus 8 equals 24. 16 plus 8 gives me 24, so I can see that my answer was definitely correct. Now let's try this next assignment or example. My constant is first this time. My variable is on the right hand side, so this is the side that I'm going to focus on. Okay? I still have a 4, and it's still going to equal negative 11, But now I'm going to take negative 3, remembering that the sign in front of a number stays with that number, and I'm going to multiply everything inside my parentheses by a negative 3. So I get a negative 3a and a negative 3. That was my distribution step. My second step, remember, was to combine like terms. My only like terms here are constants. They can still be combined. So I get 4 equals negative 11 minus another 3 gives me negative 14. And I still have to write down my minus 3a. My next step is to take care of my constant. My constant in this case is a negative 14, so I'm adding 14 to both sides. I get 18 equals negative 3a after my 14s are gone. And finally, dividing by our coefficient in this case is negative 3. I get a is equal to 18 divided by negative 3, which is negative 6. This should be my solution. I'm going to make sure, though, by plugging it into my original equation. I have 4 equals negative 11 minus 3 times negative 6 plus 1. 4 equals negative 11 minus 3 times negative 5 when I combine what's in the parentheses. Now I have 4 equals negative 11. Negative 3 times negative 5 gives me a positive 15. And negative 11 plus 15 is 4. Since 4 is equal to 4, I know that negative 6 was the correct answer. I can be confident about it and move on to the next problem. What happens when I have more than one set of parentheses? I simply do twice the amount of distribution. Every time I see a set of parentheses, I'm going to do distribution. So I'm going to multiply the first set of parentheses by 2, the second set of parentheses by negative 3. When I do that, I'm going to get 8x plus 10 minus 18. Negative times a negative is a positive 6x. And all of that equals 20. Remember, after distribution comes combining like terms. I have 8x's plus 6 more x's gives me a total of 14 x's. And 10 minus 18 leaves me with negative 8. And this still equals 20. After distribution and combining like terms, I take care of my constant, which means I need to add 8 to both sides. I get 14x equals 28. And last but not least, dividing by our coefficient leaves me with x equals 2. I definitely want to go back and make sure that my answer is right. I have 2 times 4x, which is now 2, plus 5, minus 3 times 6 minus 2x, which again, x is now 2. And that still should equal 20. Sorry that it's so squished, we're running out of space. Inside my first set of parentheses, I get 4 times 2 is 8. When I add that to another 5, I get 13. I'm subtracting 3 times. 2 times 2 is 4, so I get 6 minus 4, which is 2. Again, that's supposed to equal 20. 2 times 13 is 26. We're subtracting 3 times 2, which is 6. Does 26 minus 6 equal 20? You bet it does. So we know that we've done our equation correctly. Remember to write down any questions, and you can either ask them in class or after school. Your assignment for this lesson is Equations with Distribution worksheet. Good luck.